So you'll get this kind of texture that's going on, and then I tap it with a damp paper towel to create the kind of foliage. So actually, the texture is nothing more than regular house paint. I don't know if you can see it right here, but there's some texture there. Just in certain areas. Okay.
So you put the texture on really where your focal point and your main
and it kind of fades out just like you would with normal perspective. You know, you'd start with the focal area first and then move past that. And just a few little areas of texture in the background. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. And
Okay.
so do you ever use just the artist's acrylic paint, or do you just use the house?
Yeah, it doesn't matter as long as it can drip well. If you try to water down acrylic paint, you don't get that kind of really thin lines. If you would take a stick and just drip it along the edge, you'll get some really nice fine lines.
Okay.
I use those all the time. Here's an example right here of a real thin line. And lately I've been letting some of this house paint, these kind of things, be exposed throughout the process. So it's kind of interesting what you get with it. It's more of a mixed media rather than a pastel. But when I finish with pastel over the top, I may leave a few of these areas. So it does, in effect, have a texture of oil painting.
But you're really covering pretty much most of your surface then ultimately with the pastel.
Right. And I think if I remember right, 80% has to be pastel.
Right.
So I'm pretty conscious of that.
And then do you put any pumice or anything in your acrylic?
What I do after I do the acrylic, let me turn this down. Okay, I'm gonna get back with the lights a little better. Here we go. When this all dries, and I take a product that's from Golden called Fine Pumice Gel.
Oh yeah.
And I mix it with water, and I put that over the top. Here we go. There's some better light. And it comes into, this is actually the stuff here. It's called Fine Pumice Gel. I mix that with water, liquefy it, and since it dries clear, it'll cover the surface of this acrylic paint, and that provides the surface for the pastel. Okay. That's it.
All right. Yeah, I think Liquitex also makes, they have a clear what is it called? Clear gesso, I believe. And it's
yeah, that would work, yeah, as well. That'd be the same thing basically.
Yeah.
So that's kind of it. Actually, I kind of like this black and white study. I may just do the whole thing in black and white, so we'll see.
That's really interesting. It's really a great composition, and that's going to be beautiful.
Yeah, and I actually did this a couple of weeks ago, and it's been sitting in my studio, and I'm trying to decide where I go from here. But each day I pick it up, I see something different, so I'll have to wait and see what happens.
So Tom, I know that you do some plein air work. How do you utilize plein air in your process?
Well, I've tried several attempts at it. Normally, when I do plein air, they're just studies, and they usually just quick studies. I haven't really spent a lot of time since our weather's not cooperating a whole lot with it. Outside painting, but most of my plein air are just 11 by 14 studies, and sometimes I'll take some paint out as an underpainting, but mostly I save the textured surface for the inside and not try to do it outside.
Sure. Um, and you paint fairly large paintings, don't you?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. The surface I paint on is called Gator board, and a lot of artists have been using this lately. And when I order it, it comes in 32 by 40-inch sheets, so that's a good size board to paint on. So I can actually make a pastel painting that's 30 by 40 inches, which is pretty good size. Normally, my favorite size would be 16 by 20 or 18 by 24, I think.
And then what are you putting on for protection for those? Are you using an acrylic or are you using glass?
I've been using glass for it. I've also, even though it's expensive, you can get a non-glare plexiglass that I've used a couple of times, but yeah, it's not the best, but I hope they come up with a surface that works better, but it'll be okay for large paintings. I usually don't enter competitions with anything larger than an 18 by 24. But the ones I've framed lately with plexiglass have actually been pretty good. So I'm still kind of experimenting with the best glass to put over it. It gets pretty heavy when you do a 30 by 40-inch piece of museum glass. So it can be pricey.
Yeah. There's there's that ultra view, which is doesn't have a glare to it, which is it's a bit thinner than the museum glass, so it's a little less weight.
And that's glass, right? That's not plexiglass.
It is a glass, yes. But it's pretty.
I might look into that. Yeah.
So again, I guess who has been your biggest influencer, as far as your artist mentors, or I know you said Mark Hansen, but if you look at the masters and I mean you've talked about.
I guess my favorite painting today would be Clyde Aspervig. I've got one of his videos, and I still try to not copy, but learn some of his techniques, his brushwork, and the fact that he builds up texture the way he does is pretty incredible. He does large paintings too, and the video I bought was, it seems like I've watched it 20 times in the last 2 years or so, but it's something I go back to all the time, just to the way he keys in a painting and is able to create distance with oil colors. It's just remarkable. As far as pastel paintings, I've got my favorite one, probably Kim Laurier and Albert Handel are probably my favorite. But yeah, there's a lot of good pastel painters out there right now, and it's getting more popular all the time, it seems like.
Yeah, there's some beautiful work being done.
Right.
Are you a reader? Do you love reading art books? And
I can't read. My eyes just won't. A lot. I've been painting so long, I think my eyes are getting weak. But I read articles, but I can't sit and read for more than a half hour, so my eyes get too tired. But
yeah.
I do watch a lot of videos and a lot of YouTube, that kind of stuff, with anything new that might be coming up that's a little different and a little odd. I like to investigate a little bit.
Yeah, there's there really are some great videos and YouTube
Right.
podcasts and all that sort of stuff out there.
Yeah.
Well, I'd love to see some of your paintings if you want to take us around your studio and take some time.
Yeah, I'm happy to. I'm going to kind of set it up here. This is the one I'm currently working on. I'm just going to walk over here. I don't know how well it'll show up, but it does show off the texture a little more than normal. I like to on this gator board, I like to trim it out with some masking tape, and then when you lift it off, it leaves a nice white border. So that's not part of the painting by any means. Yeah, and I was experimenting with the pure white and the deepest dark I could find. In fact, the deepest dark is kind of a purple that Terry Ludwig has. It's pretty deep as far as you can tell. This is probably as black as you can get. However, it's actually purple. I don't really use black that much, but I know that Richard Smith used to use black in his paintings. So I guess if he can do it, then it'd be okay. But this is a scene not far from our house called Pine Lake, and I've spent countless hours out there painting it and drawing and taking pictures. So that's my current project.
That's beautiful, Tom.
Thank you. Here's another one I worked up last week. Just as a quick study of some shadows. Let me get that this place where you can see it. In fact, I don't paint on a canvas. I actually paint on an interior door. Since I kept bumping into the canvas because I have to walk back and forth all the time while I'm painting. I got tired of knocking my canvas off, so I went in the garage and brought out an interior door and painted gray, and I've been painting on that for 20 years now.
Good idea.
So this is one I worked up as a study just a few days ago. Can you see that?
That's really lovely.
Nice.
I think that dark purple, I bet that's the eggplant, isn't that the name?
Yeah, I
of
think that's what they called it.
they
Yeah,
call that.
eggplant. Yeah.
It's gorgeous. It's just such a nice color, and it keeps, I don't know,
Right.
sometimes black can be a dead color, I think.
It can be, and it's hard to put anything with it, because it takes up so much of the dark space that I finally just quit using dark, except for a few dots now and then to bring out a really deep section.
Now, is this the same area as the other painting that you just had up?
Yeah, these are all from Pine Lake mostly. Most of what I've been painting the last 3 or 4 years are just, I try to keep it close and intimate because that's what I know. I mean, if I were to try to go out and paint the Tetons, it might be a real challenge for me. So I know this area. I've been there. I've walked all through it. So, okay.
Well, if you ever want to come out and paint the Tetons, I go there pretty often. So.
Oh, do you? Well, I know it's beautiful. It might be a little overwhelming for me, I guess.
Yeah, well, this is another beauty. But what size is that one, Tom?
Oh, this is only 11 by 14, I think. Just kind of a study.
Okay. Well, let's see some more. Where this is a great picture.
Right. Here's a painting I have hanging in my studio right now that I painted, probably 4 years ago. That this is the river. We live on a, boy, I'm losing it. Here we go. We live on a bluff above the river, and as I look down the river, I found this bank, which is just below our property. So I painted that. I painted these banks several times. This is a snow-covered bank.
Yeah, that's
Probably,
good.
I think this was in February of a couple of years ago. So that's one.
Yeah, that's very nice.
I'm sorry I'm moving around here, but there we go. I'll try and steady myself.
We're getting to get a little glimpse of your studio as well.
Yeah, it's kind of in an uproar now, but that's typical for me, I guess.
Isn't that the way it's supposed to be?
Well, yeah, I have to take 2 days instead of taking an hour or so to clean it. It takes me 2 days to clean it, so I've got that to look forward to, I guess. All right, this is one I did. It's hanging in my studio. Oh, that's got too much glitter. Let's see what else I've got here. Here's another one I'm working on. That the problem with me is I work on paintings and I get tired of them, so I put them aside. Whoops! I put them aside and then I come back and pick them up later. This is another kind of a scene that's since we live on a bluff. This is a summer scene. And here, I was actually took pastel, I did the painting, and then I went over it with acrylic, which was kind of an interesting process. I don't know if it was successful. I'm still debating, but that kind of experimenting stuff has always been fun for me.
So it's acrylic over the pastel?
Right. I let some of the underpainting show through and I put pastel on it, then I went back with acrylic paint on top, which is, well, the jury's out on this. I'm not really happy with it, but it was a good experiment. Okay.
Well, it's very interesting. I mean, from what I'm seeing, it's like it's a good painting. I
Yeah.
can't see, I
I
can't really tell the texture or anything from
yeah.
I'm seeing, but
It's not there yet, but it's this type of experimenting has always been fun for me. So I'll keep working on it. If it doesn't work, I'll paint over.
so I think Tom, the next thing that you should work on is figuring out how to fix pastels so that you don't have to put them under glass. How
Well,
do we
that would be the best thing. Yeah, that could be the best thing that would happen. I've got just a few things here. Here's actually an oil painting I did a few weeks ago. It's kind of fun to do. Well, you can't see it because of the glass.
Yeah, great color.
Yeah,
Fun.
like that. Yeah, it's too bad you're not in my studio. I've got paintings all over the place.
Yeah,
There's a lot. Okay, go ahead.
To the audience, if you guys have any questions, please put them in the chat. I'm gonna try to find if there's any that are popping up. Oh, there's a couple of questions here, Tom, while you're looking for another painting. Oh, Olga just asked if in this case, is it considered a mixed media or a pastel? And I'm assuming that she's talking about the acrylic under the pastel, but I think you really already answered that as long as it's 80% pastel on top, it's considered pastel.
Right, and that's been the standard, I think, for quite a few years now.
Yeah. And then Svetlana asks, do you spray at the end with a fixative on your pastels?
No, I don't usually use fixative. The problem with fixative for me is, well, I can show you real fast on this painting. If you spray an area with pastel, with fixative, it'll actually darken it. So I use it to darken an area. If I want to darken I'm trying to hold this and spray it, you can see it'll darken an area. Can you see that?
Right.
So I use it if I want to darken an area. But that's the only time. So that's a little.
Yeah, because it can create its own texture too when you put pastel back over it.
Right, exactly. I was going to show you this painting if I can figure out how to keep this thing from moving on. There we go. There we go. Can you see it now?
Hey, yep.
Okay. That's another one I'm currently working on. I usually have 4 or 5 paintings I can go back to and work on. So I don't really complete a painting ever, I don't think. It's always something you can add to it or take away from it.
It's that question, when is a painting finished, right?
Well, I don't know if it's ever finished. I mean, I don't, in my estimation, I don't think they're ever done. Here we go. Finally, I've got it. And this I've started probably a year ago, and I've still got it, and I'm still messing with it. So this is at Pine Lake also.
That's very beautiful. So is Pine Lake, is that a state park area or?
Right. It's been a park now. I don't know. It's probably started in the 1800s. It was a small lake, and they've dredged some of it out, so it's bigger now. But it's pretty wild, and there's still a lot of wildlife in there yet. So it's a good place to go to paint.
Yeah, that's a lovely piece. How big is that one, Tom?
This one is 28 by 32, I think. It's fairly good size.
Nice.
You know, another thing I look at is balance too, and weight, because if one side's got too much weight, then you have to balance it out with something on the other side. So that's kind of important too, because it could look like it's, in terms of composition, it's just not working. So this probably is balanced pretty good, I think.
I think.
Yeah.
So Tom, do you, in part of your process, do you, when you're starting a painting, if you're working from, let's say, a photo, then do you do different positional studies, like little line drawings to start out with, and then kind of decide which is going to be your best option and the shape of the painting? And
Yeah, I follow probably the same process each time I do a painting. I usually, I quit using a pencil or anything to draw with, because it tends to lead me in the wrong direction. So I actually use a paintbrush. I just dip it in acrylic paint and just start flinging, you know. I find the center of the painting first, and then you know, I'll dissect it to know where the center of the painting is, and that's kind of where I try to avoid the center of attention of the focal area. I usually move the focal area to one side or another. I like to lead people through, so I want to make sure that this background is not completely dark and that you can't get through there. So I'll leave some kind of an animal path or something through here that will lead the view from here and hopefully back into here. So those are just kind of quick compositional things. I don't put the horizontal right through the middle of the painting, which kind of dissects two areas. I'll keep it low or high, but I won't put it right in the middle. Those are just little things that I think for a close-up painting, I like to put I call this horizon line. I don't know if that's what it is or not, but I like to keep it a little lower. And then for paintings that are huge landscape, I'll keep it up a little higher.
well, your painting, you really can see that you can really travel through them and get lost in them, and I think that's the goal, obviously. Francesca asked, she says, how do you make the strokes? How do you make those beautiful branches?
That's that drip in that paint. Are you talking about these here? Or the large branches like this? These strokes here?
So you're just putting your paint, you're putting your board down flat and then just dripping across. Is that right?
Right. Yeah, I'm just taking that, putting it on the floor and just flinging drips of paint. Because you can always take off the paint which you don't want or doesn't look right.
Sure.
But you can leave some of these really loose, actually strokes that you can't even make yourself. Because as soon as you try to make a thin line, it becomes contrived. And, at least for me, but these haphazard kind of loose strokes are just the result of dripping paint. And when I originally designed that process, that's what I was looking for. I was looking for these just haphazard areas that you can't really paint. I'm looking out my studio window right now, and all I can see is, well, I can show you. This is what I look out to every day. So you can see those haphazard lines and areas that if you try to paint that stuff, it's going to be contrived. It'll look like you tried to draw them. But if you just do a loose approach to it like this, then that's how I get those kind of really gestural kind of, especially in this tree right here. Excuse me.
That's great. That's really lovely. Now, Francesca asked, she said she was the one that asked about the branches. And she said in the previous painting, the one with the stream in the foreground is what she was referring to.
Oh, back here? Okay. Let's go back. Okay. Oh, I can't seem to. There we go. Is this what you're looking at?
Francesca, that you were looking at? Yes, that's the one.
Okay. Is she talking about these kind of lines here? Oh, this is really difficult. Okay. How's this?
She says, okay. How do you make those beautiful branches? So I'm sure, I believe she's talking about what I'm seeing on my monitor right now.
Okay. I think she's probably referring to the ones coming off these trees here. The little heavier strokes. I learned one thing, and I think it was from Handel, was that when he puts a branch on a tree, he runs it right off the page, right off the painting. So instead of making a stubby little, there's a good shot of it, of a branch, take the branch and run it right off the page, right off the painting. And which you don't want, you can always paint over. But I think for me, standing up and painting makes the whole difference, because if I try to sit down and paint, then it all of a sudden becomes too tight. So I'm constantly using my whole motion with my shoulder and arms to paint with, and then I'm walking back and checking it all the time. So that's probably where I get those kind of loose branches from.
Yep, that's really lovely.
Yeah.
Tom, I see that do you have the exhaust, like an exhaust fan set up? Is that what that is, where you're painting?
Yeah, that's what it is there. I don't have it running today because I'm not painting, but I try to keep that going as much as I can. It helps filter the air a little bit. So
is that one that you've had for a long time, or is there a brand that you recommend to people?
I've had this for a long time, and I can't tell you because the base is hidden under. Yeah, I just can't remember how long I've had that and where I got it from at this point. I'll have to check after I get off camera and let you guys know. But yeah, it does a fair job. I mean, nothing's going to take care of all that really fine dust unless you wear a mask.
Right.
But it does a pretty good job.
Somebody made a comment, when we were talking about when's the painting done, and Meyer says it's only done when it's hanging in somebody else's home. I think that's really a good point.
Oh, wait a minute! I think somebody's. No, it looks like Kim Lordier's online there. She was going to give me the name of this thing.
She says, I think that it's called the Artist's Air.
That could be. Yeah, I bet I've had that for 15 years.
Great. Thanks, Kim.
Yeah, I didn't realize she was on there. Hello, Kim.
Hey, Tom. How's everybody?
Thanks for joining us, Kim.
Thank you. We're glad we have you, Tom.
Oh, this has been kind of a hodgepodge interview. I'm kind of embarrassed by it, but I'll do the best I
You're
can.
doing great, kiddo.
Everybody, big cheer for Kim, who saved us this morning.
Oh, well, she saved me several times, so.
I think it's quite mutual, my friend.
Well, you heard that plug I gave you then.
No, I heard through the grapevine. I said he owed me.
Well, if I would have known you were on, I would have never said that.
I know. Well, I like I said, I didn't hear it, so it's
Okay.
all by word of mouth.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
Okay.
it's recorded, you guys. So you're on. You
you're in
can't.
trouble now, Tom. Either that or I owe you a margarita.
Yeah, right. Oh,
Okay,
Well,
I'll be
Tom,
quiet.
We
okay.
enjoy these types of interviews, I think, because it's good to see people in their work environment and working. It's this isn't a formal put on your tux.
Well,
sit
yeah.
down.
I'll tell you what, it saved me a lot of trouble. I didn't have to prepare for this one.
Okay. Well, do you have any other paintings that you want to
Well, yeah, I mean, we could go into the living room and I can try and show you some of the frames and stuff.
Yeah,
You
let's
want-
take a look at a couple more and just talk through your
Okay.
with them and
Okay.
and while you're doing that, let me just ask you, what's in the future for Tom Christopher? Are you
Well, I'm going to be teaching at IAPS this year. I think a 2-day. I've got a couple. I'm kind of slowing down on my workshops, so I think I've got 2 or 3 this summer. Here's one that I did that was in IAPS. I think won an award then. That's been hanging up there for quite a while. This is one that was pretty popular on Facebook. I don't know if you can see that or not.
Yep, that's
There we go. This is kind of a challenge here. Let's see if I can get it this way. Okay. That
Those are
one's
some
good.
lovely colors in that.
Yeah, this is actually the first snow right across the road from us that still had leaves on the trees.
Well, that happens. It happens. It certainly happens in
Yeah.
my.
This is when I did a workshop or a demo for. This was a demo piece. Let's see if I can do it this way. There, how's that? Can you see that?
That's lovely.
Let's see what else do I have.
I really love that use of that dark Ludwig purple. Obviously that's in the creek there, right, Tom?
Right.
Yeah, it just really makes your paintings just be alive.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that's what I've been experimenting with lately is this really dark against a really white snow, which is pretty striking. It kind of well, it just appeals to me. So I've been trying to do that a little more.
Yeah, beautiful.
This is one that I've got sitting at home here. This one was done. I don't know if you've got too much glare, but you can kind of see here.
Pretty blurry.
There. I've got a lot of glare in the cover. But this is I'm getting all like that's why I hate non-glare glass, I guess. Anyway, that one I'll try to get there. That's better. But you can kind of see what's going on.
Yeah.
Okay, what else have I got? This is a pastel. Well, I've got too much glare in this one. I'm trying to find paintings that I don't have glass on. There's a large, I think this is 30 by 30, 35 by 30. With some really healthy darks in there.
Yeah, that's got some great darks. So do you have a favorite season that you like to paint more than others?
Well, I kind of like late summer and early fall the best, I think, because I can get more color, obviously. But I would say that's probably when I do most of my painting. My summers are usually too hot to paint and everything's so green that I don't know, just I've been used to painting these fall colors for years. So
Well, they're really beautiful. Somebody
you.
asked if that was the eggplant in that dark creek, and I think you answered that already, that we agreed that that was probably the eggplant.
Right. Yeah.
Francesca asks, are landscapes your primary subject matter?
Right, and it has been for quite a few years. I've done some portraits and things like that, but I like to be outside taking pictures and doing sketches and things like that. So I just try to keep moving as much as I can. I spend all my summers inside, excuse me, all my winters inside studio painting. So I have to get out in the summer and do as much picture taking and sketching as I can.
We've got a couple of comments here, beautiful work. That's from Jean. There was one hurrah from Francesca. And so I concur with those comments for sure.
Thanks.
Tom, are you enjoying doing some your classes online, or are you doing?
Yeah, that's been kind of an interesting experience for me. I've never tried that. I'm not very good with computers, so that's been a real challenge, and I'm learning quite a bit. The help of my daughter and son-in-law. So yeah, it's been fun. It keeps me busy, and I learn just as much from the members as I do, from teachers or anything else, because it's all about problem solving. And they'll come with me with a painting that obviously the values are all for little, and just keying in the painting and the values, and everybody's pretty happy. So it's been fun. I think after looking at paintings from artists and those that are just starting out, values seem to be the hardest hurdle to jump over. Once they've figured out the values and how that all works, then it becomes fairly simple. It's just regular drawing and painting. Yeah, excuse me.
Well, that's okay. Do you have any words of wisdom for the painters on the call that are, new and starting out?
Well, it's a lot of hard work, and and it's hard not to be discouraged when you have a painting that you've worked on for 3 days and it fails. But make sure you put everything into it before you paint over it. Try other things, try value changes and design changes before you paint over a painting. It's so easy to get discouraged and just say, well, that's it, I'll just start anew. But there's things you have to get resolved before painting is successful. And I think values and balance and composition are so important. In my estimation, it's more important than color. So that's how I look at things, I guess.
So what would you, if somebody said, I want to do pastels, what would you give them for a supply list to start out?
Well, first of all, I wouldn't buy the cheap pastels because they don't hold up well. And if you're going to use a sanded paper, spend a little money on the pastels. In terms of paper, I would probably still go with UArt, which is probably the most popular. And my underpainting as you can well see, is nothing but house paint and the cheapest acrylics I can find. So, because for the most part, I'm just looking at values. Even though I'll do a colored underpainting, I'm doing a value study, basically. I'm just testing colors with the underpainting. So yeah, go cheap on the underpainting and stay within a good pastel or a good surface to work on, a UArt, or I don't think Wallace is available anymore. Or you can try my surface, which is gator board and fine pumice gel. So that's what I would suggest.
Good. I think that's good. I think that's great advice.
Well, I like to tell my students that I go to Menards for most of my art supplies. So that kind of gives you an idea of what I'm up to. I've always experimenting with textures and different paints and brushes and all that stuff. So that's what I do to keep busy, I guess.
And then, just as a side note, with your oils, are you, do you like to work on a hard surface, or do you prefer like a canvas? Or
I've actually painted some on this gator board, but I think I prefer canvas a little more than this is still fairly slick to paint on. And I'd rather have a little canvas feel when I'm painting. Again, I do it's same way with oils. I'll do a acrylic underpainting and put oils over the top. I think Aspenvic does this as well. So that's always been my thing. The underpainting has always been an important part of my process because I get all the problems solved in the underpainting, and then I go over the top, and it's fairly easy that way. Somebody wrote in and said, do I tone the canvas first? I usually do. I usually put a wash of some color on there. If it's a warm painting, I'll put a light rose color wash over the top to start with. I don't like a bare white canvas staring me in the face. So yeah, I'll tone it normally when I start out.
so you'll tone it and then put your acrylic over it. Do you
Right.
tone it with like a really washy acrylic?
Right, I usually do, yeah. It's just a wash basically, and I'll use a rag to kind of scrub it in a little bit, just to get rid of that glaring white, especially in my studio. The lighting's pretty direct. It seems that the first thing I need to do is calm that white canvas down. And, yeah, start painting.
So Tom, are you going to be open to doing maybe some recorded workshops or demos for PSWC coming up soon?
Well, if you'll have me, yeah.
This is your invitation.
Yeah, I'd be happy to do that. I'll be
Okay.
a little more organized. How's maybe not a whole lot organized, but I'll be more.
Well, you've shared some really good points with us, and seeing your paintings and learning about your process is really great. And
Well, thanks.
so I think that people would really like to have workshop or demos or something that we can offer to our membership. And
yeah, I think that'd be fun. I wouldn't mind doing that at all. I promise I won't be moving the camera at all. So I'm sure that looked bad. Be walking around with this kind of focusing on the camera, but well,
I think I enjoyed seeing the tour of your studio. Always.
well, maybe you could edit that part out so that make people dizzy trying to watch this.
Well, it was a good test of our equilibrium.
I guess so.
But that's okay. It was
Yeah,
great.
well, that's good. I'm glad. I enjoyed doing it. Yeah, if you want me to do something, just get a hold of me. And I don't have much going on for the next couple months. And it's going to be, we're still in winter here. It seems like spring, but we've got a good 3 or 4 weeks of winter left. So now would be a good time to do it then, probably.
Jean said, thanks so much. It's been a pleasure getting to know you and see your work and processes. You did fine.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that.
And she loves your foliage colors and the beautiful compositions. And I concur with that. I really love your landscapes and how they really glow. So do you have any final words of wisdom for the good of the order?
Well, not at this time. I do want to apologize for not being set up for this. It was a total surprise. But maybe something's going to come out of it. Who knows?
Well, I think so. I think that it's good. I mean, like I said, this isn't a sit down at the fireside with our tuxedos and finery on,
Right,
Good to see. It's great to
here-
see people's work.
I
Well,
think
this-
it's a real
Go ahead.
testament is the fact that we started late, but 40 people stayed on the line waiting for you, Tom. So that says something right there.
Yeah,
So,
that's good.
yeah. It was definitely worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Francesca, I love your paintings and would love to learn from you. So right there's affirmation that we need more.
Okay, well, that sounds good to me. Just yeah, let me know what you want, and I'll be happy to do my best.
Okie doke, we'll be in touch. Thank you.
All right.
Brian.
Okay.
Tom, thanks so much. Do appreciate your time.
Okay, thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank
too.
you.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Right.